Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening, my friends. I wanted to let you know that I tried the Ivy soap. And if you've looked this up on YouTube, you know there are basically, if you watch 5 videos, you're going to get 5 versions of pretty much the same thing. What it comes down to is 30 medium-sized leaves of ivy. Um, Processed with a quart of hot water that comes to boiling for some period of time. Most people say keep boiling it, but what they really mean is simmer it. Some people actually know how to use their words properly, and they actually say bring it to a boil and then simmer it. I ended up they usually do it for 10 to 15 minutes unless they're doing a bigger batch, in which case they do it for 25 to 30 minutes. That really shouldn't matter, chemically speaking, because a boil is a boil is a boil. Um, for that, but I did end up simmering mine for 25 minutes. I did 13 batches at one time because I have a big kettle, and it's not like you're only going to need a little bit of laundry detergent ever. So I made a bunch. There is one video out there that says, hey, this actually turns your whites kind of murky. And when I looked at why that was, it was because she was using twice as much as everybody else was. The concentration was a good bit higher of what she was using. So just don't do that. Um, However, I will say what I did with mine was I just kept it on the vine. I put the vine in as well. There's nothing wrong with having done that. It also creates this fantastic, wonderful, like rose scent in your kitchen, which is badass. And then as it cools, you get kind of a thistle smell, which is to say what you would recognize as like an artichoke smell. But if you've ever boiled thistle that you forage, you recognize that artichokes are just thistles and they smell like thistles. So anyway, this is just a small amount of what I made. I actually made the 13 quarts, which is a little over 3 gallons. This is the part that I'm keeping in the fridge. Most people keep theirs in the fridge because they just make smaller batches than I do. But I figure if you're going to boil the water and you're going to go get dirty outside getting the ivy, you might as well just get it all done. So I had 3 gallon containers, and then this one that you don't put all the way up to the tippy top of the gallon container, or bad things will happen. It'll get real messy. But basically, you end up with 3 gallon containers, not quite full, and then you have this half-gallon that's pretty close to full. What I would say about it, this is more a best practice video than watching me boil ivy, because that's kind of boring. But what I would say is I do think it depends on the depth of color in your ivy. The darker your ivy is. And people say medium size, but those people are always English. I would say in American land, we would consider it a large size leaf. So you're talking, a pretty good size like this. So um, definitely 2.5 to 3 inches at minimum would be your medium sized leaf that they're talking about. So if you have smaller leaves, I have a lot of smaller leaves myself. My ivy was taking over my greenhouse, so I've now torn it all down and now can make laundry soap. Um, you want to, go on the higher side of that. Now, for my personal municipal water supply, I have struggled with laundry soaping for well over a year now. And what I've had to be doing, I've even had to chart it because it changes every 4 months what I have to do. But to let you know what I'm doing now with the Ivy soap compared to what I was doing with my regular soap, I was having to use 3 times the amount of soap that a normal person would have to use for a heavy load, just for my like wore it once inside the house one time kinds of not very dirty clothing. Okay. I've also, along with that, in wash cycle number 1, with each load, because I have to do 2 wash cycles, um, I've had to put 3 full-size scoops, full scoops of OxiClean. I've tried the Ecos OxiClean type of thing, and only recently have I gotten the hang of that. But so basically what we're saying is I was using 6 times, because these scoops, you're really only supposed to use like half a scoop, right? Tops. So I was basically doing 6 times in order to get it clean. And then I was having to do another one or two full scoops of OxyClean in a soap-free cycle. So I had to wash everything twice. And so that would like neutralize my water enough to actually make it rinsable water. And then I would put it in the dryer. So it has been really a fiasco. And if I ever wanted to Airbnb and not be here, it would really be a fiasco because that person would have to wait for all those cycles to go through just to wash a basic pair of, sheets and some towels, which means I'd have to pay them for 3 or 4 hours instead of like one. So it's been a problem. However, I say all that to say this is so much better. Oh my gosh. So the general consensus on the videos is you use 1 cup, so that's 8 fluid ounces of the IV soap. It's just IV tea. I mean, you just boil it and then it's tea. Use 1 cup of that per full load. I did try it on my darks first, just to see if it was even worth trying on my whites. What I found was that I had to use 2 cups. I tried 2 loads with 1 cup each. That by the second round, it became clear that I was going to need more than that. So I did 2 cups of this and 2 scoops of the Ecos OxyClean type of thing, but these are teeny tiny scoops. The Ecos are very small scoops. They're like 1 tablespoon instead of like 1 cup. So I did just 2 cups of this, 2 scoops of that, one time, and then that was enough. And that just got it clean. And it was only I only had to do 1 washing cycle, and it got everything fully clean in that, which also means this was helping as a surfactant to break down that oxy stuff, the oxy powder. So then I put it in the dryer. It's not feeling crinkly. It's not feeling like it didn't really get clean. What happened? It feels just like normal. It smells fresh coming out. And so then I did the whites, and the whites were the exact same way. So don't worry about your whites. You can totally do your whites, but bear in mind, it looks like this. It's dark, but it's there to clean your stuff. And if you really shake this a lot, it will soap up. The saponin in it will become apparent. For those of you who live where there are hackberries, which is a lot of us, they do that too. I have accidentally, not successfully, made made hackberry greens, and I found that saponin was very heavy. I mean, so heavy that it was kind of the reason I didn't eat it, which is probably good because it turned out that was poisonous. Um, but I would say once the spring hits and all those hackberries start, blooming and blooming and, taking up your whole yard, you could try it with that too. I'm going to try it with that in the spring and then I'll post an update on this. But I would say the Ivy soap, really recommend. It works really well. And the fact that I'm down from 2 washes to 1 wash and using so much less detergent, and I of course paid $0 for this at all. I just used tap water, like nothing fancy at all. Really game changer. So high recommend.